I started writing books. And this book, called Bodytraders, I started writing in 1993. That's not true. I probably started writing it a few years after that. Now, how did I get the oomph to write a book like this? Bodytraders, transforming back from player to lover. What is that all about? Transforming back from player to lover. So I'd been studying, I was in the entertainment industry during the 80s, and I went back to see a producer friend of mine who actually produced The Love Boat. Pretty cool guy. And he said to me, "So what are you doing now?" And I said, I'm going to teach about relationships. He said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Do you know about America Online?" I said, "What?" He says, "Yeah, let me turn the monitor around. Let me show you America Online." And it was like this maze. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I didn't know anything about social applications online. It was something totally new. And I looked at this, and he said, you can get a following if you're doing relationship work anywhere in the country. And he explained, just open up a room on America Online. I go through this story to tell you because I did that. I went home back to Florida, and I opened up a room called Relationship Coaching. And the first time I opened it, I sat in there by myself for about 20 minutes or a half hour. I said, what an idiot. What am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. And then just about I was ready to shut it down. Beep! Someone came in. And the first thing they do when they come into a room is they check out your profile. So I knew they could either leave or they could stay, but it would take maybe 30 seconds or a minute to see what I'm all about. And she said, "Hi." And I'm going, oh my God, I might have to actually do this. And she said, "Are you for real?" And I said, "I think so," because the name of the room was Relationship Coaching. Nobody was doing that. There was like 200,000 people on America Online at the time, which was nothing, throughout the whole country. And I said, "Yeah, try me." So she says, "Okay." And she said, "Where do I start?" And I said, "Start at the most difficult part." So she went on to tell me that she was living in LA and she fell in love with someone in New York City. And she did a big fat no-no. She flew across country to be with this person in New York City. And he basically, when he took her home, he held her captive she was a captive in his apartment. And she was like scheming how to get out of there. And she was online on America Online. You can't make this up. And she talks to someone in St. Louis. Said, "Come here, I'll rescue you, I'll take care of you." So she sneaks out of his apartment, goes out to the airport, flies to St. Louis, and the guy did the same thing to her. Held her captive. And the most outrageous story happened like right from the beginning. And I said, I might have something here. So over the next 10 years, I was not in a committed relationship, so I had the time. Whenever I had a little bit of time to myself, I'd open up the computer and turn on America Online and open up the room, and sometimes there was one person, sometimes there was 10 people, sometimes there was 20 people. So for the next 10 years, see, nobody knows this about me now because they know this or they know that, but they don't know this. So you're learning it. For the next 10 years, I had over 6,000 detailed, intimate, documented conversations with people from around the country. And I was there to help them. I had a lot of information. I felt really good about what I knew. But they told me their stories, like you told me your story. And everybody told me their story, and they said, what do I do? And there's something inside of me, it's not an intellect, it's something inside of me that when I hear something, I get an answer to it. I can't explain it. It just works. I don't sit there and go, let me see. And that never happened. Not in 6,000 conversations. Imagine having 6,000 conversations with people telling me about their crazy relationships. And I was there, and I have these all on file. And so after I started doing that, I said, this is too much for nobody to know about. And I put the most interesting of these conversations in this book. And at the end was like, okay, this is what you can do so you don't keep on doing these crazy things here. So 15 years to write that book.